Hey, it's Friday, June 27th. Welcome to Razzball Radio. I am your host, Nick Capozzi. We're going to be joined today by none other than the one, the only, our guru. Guru, welcome to Razzball Radio, brother. How are you today?
Happy Friday, Nick. How are you, my friend? I
And
even I even put on my splendid smoking jacket for you today.
I
But
noticed that.
I must say that I'm really liking the Razzball Radio
Yeah,
T-shirt.
there we go. I got it on.
And when I don't have one of those, and I've got a real problem with that. And I think when you and I hit the road for the old 32 and 32 and 32 tour, and we're bunking together, I'm gonna have to rip that right from your manly torso.
How about I just get you a couple of shirts for the tour?
Yeah, I was kind of looking forward to the ripping in the manly torso.
It's not going to be that kind of party, Guru. Seriously.
Get roiled up this time?
All right, listen, we're going to play a little Jam and Cram, but I want to get to a couple things before we do that, Guru, because there's a lot of big news happening right now at Razzball Radio. First of all, of course, we are very proud to be on the Fantasy Sports Network. If you haven't checked them out yet, it's fantasysportsnetwork.com, 24/7 Fantasy Sports. What else do you need? But big news, we have now, because we're part of Fantasy Sports Network is now on Optimum in the greater New York City area. So we are very excited to be on TV in New York, Connecticut, New Jersey. Hey, New York, what's going on? New York. How are you?
Good stuff, man.
Oh, but wait. Yeah, hold on. Guru, let me ask you, is
What?
Optimum a jam?
Yeah, I believe Optimum is
A
a
jam. All right, but wait, there's more big news.
All right.
Okay, so you mentioned you are coming on the tour with me. In case you don't know, we're doing something radical this year. It's never been attempted before. We're going to host 32. Basically, I'm taking this studio, we're putting it into a Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van, and we're going to host 32 fantasy football drafts in 32 straight days in all 32 pro football cities across America. This is going to be epic. We're putting the whole thing on television. Guru, you're going to be my sidekick, but we're also going to be joined by other members of the Razzball crew for different parts of the tour, including Gray, Sky, Smokey, J-Fo, T-Hole, J Wrong. So this and more guys too. I don't have the full list in front of me. Sagnoff Mike. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to come tip a few beers with you. But here's the interesting news today. We've got about 12 of these bars locked up already. More are coming very soon, but I'm not announcing them until they actually sign. So we got another one. Ladies and gentlemen, when we come to St. Lou, that's right, St. Lou, we're coming for you. We are going to the Post Sports Bar and Grill in Maplewood. They've got two locations, Maplewood and Creve Coeur. Sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly. I can do it in French, Creve Coeur. But you know why we're going there? A, they got wicked toasted raviolis. B, it's St. Lou. We got a hardcore following there. We got great fans like Fausto, Montezuma, Smart Mark. So they're going to come out and party with us. We are there September the 2nd, 7 p.m. again, Post Sports Bar and Grill in Maplewood. Tickets are $15. You can get them at razzballtour.com. Now, $15 gets you in, obviously, to hang out with us. We're going to do some mock drafting. We're going to talk a lot of draft strategy for football, but also depending on which state, I can't necessarily say this, but you're going to get a couple of beverages, and I'll just say my good buddy Brian from Coors is going to be there, so a couple of beverages for you with that $50 ticket. Another thing, sorry, we haven't talked about this in a while, so I'm just giving you a catch-up. We're also running a promo. You can get, of course, the individual tickets at razzballtour.com, but we now have a package. If you pick up for your whole crew, if you bring 10 guys, so 10 tickets are $100. Okay, but if you want those, email me, nick@razzball.com. Chances to win a trip to Vegas with me, thanks to the good people at sportsvault.net. And also, here's another thing. If you're one of the guys, so if you get a ticket, you got a shot at the trip to Vegas. But if you're one of the guys that puts together a group of 10 and gets the 10 tickets for $100, those group organizers, so not the whole group, but if you're one of those guys that brings a whole crew down, we're also working on a road trip tour where I'm going to show up at your house and we'll hit the road. So lots going on, of course. That's all at razzballtour.com. Okay.
Wow, man.
You know what? We're
that's a lot.
excited.
And I got to tell you, St. Louis, one of my favorite cities in the U.S., and good stuff there. And you're talking toasted ravioli. I got to tell you, man, when it comes to the toasties, that's a
Jam. Oh, by the way, last thing I promise. If you want to host your own draft at Post Sports Bar and Grill in Maplewood or Creve Car, they have a draft room and it's crazy cool. So, give them a call. They can get your own private room with all the gear set up for that. Tell them Razzball sent you. Okay, lots of baseball to get to today.
The Afterglow cigarette.
All right, listen, let's start jamming and cramming. We're going to head down to Anaheim where CJ Cron, he of 16% ownership and a 5-game hit streak, is an interesting player to look at. What is your take on Mr. CJ Cron?
All right, let's dive into that jamming and the cramming. I'm liking the CNC hitting factory there in Anaheim with CJ and Cole Calhoun. We jammed on old Cole Calhoun recently.
Yep.
And now it's CJ's turn. He's getting an increase in playing time now that 49-year-old Raul Ibanez got the boot out of town. Now, CJ, he doesn't seem to mind. Over the last week, he has 7 hits and 17 at-bats. That's over the last 5 games. He has 3 homers, hitting close to 300. And while that probably won't hold, I mean, he does have just 4 walks and 120 at-bats. He's not exactly the most patient guy at the plate. But if you're looking for some power, I say he's worth owning. That's a jam.
All right, I like that. Hey, yesterday, man, what a mess the Angels bullpen situation is. Ernesto Frieri did his best to blow the game against the Twins. Anaheim's 3.5 games out of the division lead. Why haven't they gone out and gotten a closer yet? I mean, that just seems logical. I don't know.
Yeah, it does. And as we get closer to the deadline here, you're going to hear the rumors starting to heat up a little bit. I've heard some talk of rumors of Jonathan Papelbon from the Phillies maybe getting moved over there. And, of course, the big rumor this week was that the Angels were actively going to make a play for David Price. While that won't help the bullpen, that would sure help the rotation.
All right, so we're going to keep an eye on that situation. We'll be right back right after this with some more jam and cram. We're going to talk about Brad Miller, Steve Pearce, Jarrod Dyson, Matt Shoemaker, and more here on Razzball Radio. Happy Friday. Welcome back to Razzball Radio. We are jamming and cramming with the Guru. You can follow him on Twitter at TheGuruGS. You can follow me on Twitter at Nick Capozzi, NickCapozzi. If you have questions, start sits, whether it's baseball, football, don't be shy. Get in touch with us. We are happy to help you out. Continuing on, our jam cramathon, Brad Miller, middle infielder. He is hot, 35% owned. What's the story, Morning Glory?
Yeah, the ownership is starting to spike a little bit for the shortstop second baseman. Coming into the season, Miller was one of my sleeper picks, and he promptly went right to sleep, and he hit 150 over the 2 months. All right, like you said, he started to pick it up here, raising that average up to 208. Yes, 208. He's hit 312 over the past month. He also has 4 home runs, 10 RBI, and 14 runs over his last 24 games. I could see maybe a deep league jam where you want to maximize those at-bats, especially with a middle infielder that's a pretty thin position. But I think he's been on a bit of a lucky streak here. The batting average on balls in play, the BABIP, that's over 350 for the month. So, that's not going to stay up there. I'm going to need to see a little more than a few weeks before we jam. Brad Miller is a cram.
Okay, I am going to, listen, I don't want to mess with your wisdom and sageness, O wise guru. But look, here's my counter argument to that, right? He is hitting 208, no question. But in his last 10 games, he's hit safely in 9 of them, including 3 home runs. And out of those 9 games, 4 of those are multi-hit. So yeah, BABIP, unsustainable, not arguing. However, I think for right now, if you're having some middle infield issues, he might be a jam for me. Don't want to mess with you, Guru. Don't want to mess with you. I'm just saying.
We can agree to disagree.
I can't wait to room with you on the road. Okay, Steve Pearce of the Baltimore Orioles, 16% owned. Sky's a big fan. He mentioned him in deep leagues, but talk to me if he is jammable in mixed leagues.
Pearce has been winning me some cash this week on DraftKings, I'll tell you that.
Absolutely.
I like the first base outfield eligibility on old Hawkeye. He's one of the hottest hitters over the last week, hitting 360. He's got a couple homers, 5 runs, five RBI. I mean, this is a guy that the Orioles actually released back in April, and then they picked him back up. Since then, he's hitting 340 with 7 homers, 9 doubles, 20 RBI in 38 games. Now he's not going to walk a lot, and the K rate is about 20%. So the average will probably drop. But you got to like that 418 WOBA. Steve Pearce, it's a jam.
Yeah, gotta love the WOBA. Plus, he in his last 8 games has hit. Is it the weekend already? He's hit safely. Pardon me.
He's been hot.
Yeah, he's been hot. Well, he's hit safely in 7 of 8 games, but of those 7 games, 6 of those have been multi-hit. I mean, that's always an interesting statistic for me. And again, in the last 8 games, 3 homers, 10 RBI. Holy cannelloni. I don't know how long he's going to sustain it. Gray and I talked about him a little bit on Wednesday. Gray wasn't all in on Steve Pearce, but I think definitely right now he is a gentleman that should find his way onto your squad. All right, Sagnoff Special, of course, saves and steals ain't got no face. If you're ever lost with our terminology, head over to Razzball.com and you can find the glossary under the Tools tab. Jarrod Dyson, 2% owned. I think there's a bit of a misconception with Jarrod Dyson. I don't think people realize he's playing every day right now. But talk to me about his Sagnoffiness.
Let me tell you there, Mr. Nick, I'm impressed today. You've got the Razzball shirt on. You got a head full of numbers. I think you did some research last night. Mr. Dyson, yes, he's getting more playing time. Aoki hit the DL. So, Dyson's getting to play, and he's getting some playing time against right-handers, and he hasn't fallen right on his face. The ownership is about 5%, so we're probably talking a deep league pickup here. Over the last week, he's hitting 375, has a couple of steals. He also hit a home run and knocked in 3 runs, liking that. On the season, he's hitting 300 and has 12 steals in 16 attempts. There's your Sagnoffiness right there.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you think about it this way, he has nearly 80 steals over his last 240 games. Only 11 players in the league have more than that. So if you need that Sagnoff, it's a definite jam.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you on that. We had Larry Schechter on the show yesterday, of course, fantasy baseball legend, and he was talking based on his value chart, how valuable these steals are. And I mean, to me, it's kind of not what I'm accustomed to. He was talking next year, if they kept up their pace, that Billy Hamilton could be a first-rounder, D. Gordon could be a second-rounder. My argument was, where does that put Rajai Davis then? So, Jarrod Dyson, if he is going to get the regular playing time, get the burn, and get the swipes, it's limited, but he does have a little bit of extra base pop there, so he could be a useful player for your team. Okay, Matt Shoemaker. When he's not making shoes, he's pitching 23% owned. What's the story with Mr. Shoemaker?
Yeah, I thought we'd jam or cram a starter today.
Why not?
Yeah, right. And, the cobbler, he currently has 5 wins. The ERA is about 3.4, the whip about 1.5. And he has a K per 9 rate of 9.18. Now, you probably ask Guru, why are you throwing all these numbers at us?
Hold on, wait. Guru, why are you throwing all these numbers at us?
Well, let me tell you.
How was that? Did you like that?
Let me tell you, fantasy audience. Number one, it's something they teach up at the Matthew Berry Fantasy College for the Criminally Insane.
Love you, Matthew.
And if Shoemaker qualified for by innings pitched, the K per 9 rate would be top 10 in the American League, behind guys like John Lester and ahead of another guy that both of us like, Garrett Richards. Is he going to keep that up? I don't know. The minor league numbers say probably not. I think he'll get a good test tonight as he faces the Royals in Kansas City. And the Royals, they don't strike out a lot. It'll be a good matchup for him. The Streaminator over at Razzball.com is not a big fan tonight. Let's see how Shoemaker does before we go all jam crazy.
Okay, fair enough. We'll be back right after this break here on Razzball Radio. We're going to talk a little bit of what's happening in the news before we kick off for the weekend. See you in a minute. Okay, we're back on Razzball Radio. I am with the Guru. It's Friday, which is always a good day. Guru, you got plans for the weekend?
Oh, yeah. Big, huge, massive plans.
Well, you gonna go down to Baja and have a lobster?
I don't know if I'll do any lobster wrangling this weekend, but the weather looks great, so probably do a little beaching, little soaking in the sun, maybe some suds or two. You know what I
I
mean?
can't imagine your pasty whiteness on the beach.
Oh yeah, I put on that leopard print thong, my rhinestone turban. Everyone everyone thinks I'm from Toronto.
Are you gonna wear your turban when we're on the tour?
Oh, damn right.
Okay, you know what's going to be interesting. I'm 6'3". This guy's 6'5". I mean, we're going to come in and be the two tallest guys in most towns. Okay, let's talk about a little bit of the news. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to combine a little bit of what's happening with some strategy. So right now, Adam Lind is hitting really well for the Jays. 342 on the year, 35% ownership, way too low. The problem is that people think, well, okay, it's Adam Lind, but he can't hit lefties. We know that. But he always kills against righties. If you look back at his numbers historically, when he hasn't been hurt, because he has dealt with some back issues the last couple of years, I mean, Adam Lind is an underrated hitter. My question to you, Guru, is the effort worth it when you've got a player who you'd have to platoon? So you're obviously also using potentially a bench spot if you don't have someone who can match up when he's up against lefties. But to me, it's worth the time. What's your thoughts?
I think if you have the bench room on your roster, Adam Lind is the perfect kind of player to slide in there. Yeah, sure, he's a platoony tune, and you're only going to play him probably against righties. But look what he did last night. I had him on the cheap on a lot of my DFS teams, and it really paid off for me. While a lot of other people paid up for Miggy and Goldschmidt and guys like that. It was Lynn that really helped carry the night for me, and he could do the same for your fantasy team now. Lynn, he's not going to hit left-handers. We all know that, but the kind of damage that he can do against righties, especially in that ballpark in Toronto, he's the perfect platoony tune pickup. And if you're in a deep league, he's definitely worth having on your team.
Okay, here's another thing I wanted to talk about today, and this is using a tool like the Hittertron. Of course, you go to razzball.com under tools. Hittertron is basically streaming hitters. Okay, so what you can do is you can look at either their matchups for today or their matchups for a week. But the point is that I think people don't consider streaming hitters. They think, well, I'll stream pitchers. But
Right.
look, and that's a good strategy, but everyone does that, or at least in competitive leagues, a lot of people are doing that. Streaming hitters to me is an underrated way to take advantage. If you've got some lean guys on your bench, just move them in and out, because if you get those right matchups, sometimes you'll get Nick Swisher, who's as valuable as a Ryan Braun, which sounds crazy, but in the right matchup, he is. Other players that are streamable. I mean, today, going to go way back here, but Carlos Pena is a great stream option. A couple other guys were David Murphy, Matt Joyce, Ricky Weeks, Josh Harrison. You got some platoony tunes in there. Are you putting in the effort? Is it worth the effort to stream hitters, or am I just out to lunch on this?
Oh, I think it's definitely worth the effort, especially, Rudy has talked a lot about this year, is maximizing those at bats.
Bingo.
And the platoony tune guys, I try to have one or two of them on my bench on all my teams. I own Adam Lind in a lot of leagues. I have Matt Joyce in some leagues. Guys that will, crush lefties, and guys that'll crush righties. And, if they're not performing well, I'm not attached to these guys. I can boot them out of there, check out the Hittertron, pick up some other guys. I use the Hittertron a lot for catchers. I don't own a catcher all year long. I've owned, so far this year I've owned Norris, Jaso, Saltalamacchia. I think I even had David Ross for a little while, AJ Pierzynski, Jan Gomes. I just keep rotating these guys in and out using the Hittertron of Who's Hot. It's a great tool, and it's going to pick you up points, and it's going to push you up in the standings a little bit.
Absolutely. And the way that the tools work in terms of dollar value, because a lot of time I'll reference, well, today he's a $45 play. That's based on if we were drafting today for one day based on a $260 budget. So going into the season, for the entire season, you might pay $60 for Mike Trout, hypothetically. But yesterday, for example, Ryan Braun was a $70 play. You wouldn't pay $70 for Ryan Braun going into a full season. However, yesterday he was a $70 play and he produced. So, keep that in mind when we are talking about dollar values. Another thing I want to talk about with you real quick, I don't understand the infatuation with Francisco Liriano through a bullpen session. Looks to be coming back soon. Is it me, or did this guy have one run in 2006 where he was awesome and everyone has been chasing him ever since? I don't get it. He's not that good a pitcher. He's probably better in real life than he is in fantasy, but for fantasy purposes, he ain't that good.
Yeah, I've never really been a reliever in old Francisco. He looked pretty good last year, and that was a tease. And you're thinking, he's in the National League now, and let's check it out. But I don't think it's working for him.
No, so he should not be on your squad. There are way better pitchers, and one of them, and I throw up a little bit in my mouth every time I say this, Bartolo Colon in the last month has a 1.45 ERA and a whip below 1. You're telling me that can't help you? Yes, it's ugly, but it doesn't have to be pretty. It's all about winning.
And he looks great on the bases too. Did you see that double he hit last week?
If you want a good giggle, go back and Google image. Obviously a picture of Bartolo, but then go back and look at his rookie card. It's like he's morphed into two people. Unbelievable.
Yeah. When it comes to Bartolo, he's not pretty to look at, but he's definitely going to help your team. I would take him over Liriano in a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. Last thing here before we wrap up, Kevin Gausman goes again today. Looks like he's probably going to stick. He's had a couple of good starts in a row. Are you comfortable, real quick, just yes or no, but are you comfortable with starting him in the AL East right now?
No.
All right, that's it. What else can I tell you? Guru, thanks for joining us today. Appreciate you joining us here on Razzball Radio. Again, really excited to be on Cablevision with the Fantasy Sports Network. Yeah, that is a major jam, and really excited to be coming to the Post Bar in St. Lude. Get the tickets at razzballtour.com. We're out of here.